Welcome to this published author's interview. My name is Kenneth Muyingo, and with me I have a special guest that I'm going to be interviewing today. And I would like to first say that if you would like to write a book and become an author yourself, there is a link with this interview. Click on the link and you'll be redirected to a page where you can join the group, become an author, and write your first book to be connected with other people who are doing the same. And with that said, I would like to get into the interview with my guest. And my first question is, maybe first say hello to our viewers, my guest, and introduce yourself.
Okay, hi everybody. I am Ineke, Marsman-Polhuijs. I live in Leiden and I'm 40 plus years old, and I wrote my first book last year.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Ineke. Tell us about your book. What was the vision behind this book?
Well, this book quite happened accidentally. I was thinking about a book about a and as I was exploring this idea I had about a book, I got a call from someone who I did not really know, but I knew someone else who knew her. And she said, like, hey, Ineke, have you ever considered to write a book? What do you mean? And she had read my blogs, and I was already asked by her company to write blogs for her company. So that was how she came up with the idea for me to write a book. And I was like, okay. I was sharing about the idea I had for my own book, but at that point I wasn't ready to really write it. I was just thinking about it, and she came up with this idea that as a publisher they wanted to make a book series on Bible books. And she said, how would you think about writing a Bible study book? And well, I am a Christian and I just love the Bible. I'm really a study freak. I really like to study and to explore. So I thought, like, wow, this is a great opportunity. And at that point in my life, I was very feeling quite low because some very heavy things happened in my life. And I thought, like, well, this could maybe just be something that's good for me to do also. So I said yes.
Wow.
And in my personal time, I was at that time studying Daniel, the Bible book of Daniel, and I was just typing very, very quickly, like, well, if you maybe pick Daniel, then you could do this and that and this and so. And she said, okay, you're gonna do it. So that was quite a challenge, I must say.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a very good journey for me to do. Yeah.
But it came out of you writing blogs, and then
Yes.
fascinating. I have never spoken to someone who got an opportunity to actually be asked to write their first book. Normally, it happens with maybe the fourth or the fifth book or something like that. So it's quite a unique journey, and I think so. Maybe you could have some insights for someone who is blogging or they're thinking about getting into blogging and some of the opportunities that may come out of that. But that is inspiring. So how did you choose the topic for the book?
You mean now my other book, or what do you mean?
So the one that you were asked to write, it was they gave you the topic, and then you had to go on with the writing.
Actually, yeah.
So you didn't choose the topic because it was a request. Wow, that's quite unique. And so, are you working on any other books at the moment?
Yeah, I have just finished writing my second book. And that was the book I was calling around about because I wanted to write that book. So the actual dream I had to write a book has come true now. So that's really, really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very nice. Tell us about this new book that you're writing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's quite a sad story, to be honest. 3 years ago, I became a mother again of my fifth child, but this child died before she was being born. And it took me on such a journey of grief, and also in the Christian faith that I have. I was wrestling a lot with how do you mourn? How do you mourn as a Christian? What does walking through the valley of death mean? And things like that. And yeah, that's why I started to blog, to be honest, because I was so overwhelmed by how deep this grief went that I just started to write about it. And then people who had lost a child before, sometimes even 40 years ago, who still had this pain about that, and who recognized themselves. So yeah, this became some kind of a ministry or an area that I could share my own journey and yeah, grieve myself, but also give other people words to their own feelings. And that was, yeah, that took on a road actually of blogs and blogs. And then I was asked by that company that I was sharing before about to write blogs about other things. So on that website I blog about family, about faith, about marriage a lot. And yeah, so that is quite a mixture of and I'm now in the process of just on my own website write about everything, not only about grief anymore, but
Yeah,
yeah.
about everything.
So
Wow,
yeah, and this book is about faith in the valley.
faith in the
So
valley.
how do you hold on to your faith while you don't feel God, while you don't feel very believing maybe? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to share.
Wow. I think this is a very timely message considering the way the world has been disrupted right now. There's many people with so many questions on a
Yeah.
personal level, but also when we talk about work situations or even government. So people, just economies are being disrupted, and I think this is a very timely one. When I hear your story, you talk about writing like there's been a long line of it, like the blogging. Do you consider yourself as a naturally talented writer, or is writing a skill that you have developed over time?
Well, it's a bit of both. As a young child, I already liked to write, and I studied Dutch culture and literature, so I have education on at least reading literature and cultural things and analyzing texts. So there is some background, and I have been a translator previously. So I studied Dutch culture and literature in Leiden University, and then well, that's a complete different story, but I was very ill, so I was considered, I don't know the English term for that, but it's arbeidsongeschikt. You're declared not fitting for work, basically. So I never got a real job like going somewhere and work 40 hours a week. But at home, I was working as a translator of books and also raising children. I mean, that's quite a job in itself, I must say. And so in that translating, I also developed a lot of skills. Yeah, so I think it's a bit of both. I mean, I like words, I like language, but at the same time, yeah, you learn by reading and by writing and getting feedback even. I mean, I didn't even show the book I have written, but that's this one.
Yeah. Ah,
But this book is not so thick.
yeah.
But the first version of this
Put
book
it up a bit.
was, yeah, yeah, you can see this or
Yes, I can
yeah,
see it now.
okay, yeah. The
Perfect.
first version of this book was 10,000 words more than this version.
Wow.
And so when I filed it in, I was told like you have written a way too big book. You have to short it, you cut it down
Yeah.
to 15,000 words. And that was yeah, that was a challenge. I mean,
Yeah.
I studied and I already had weighed every word, but now I had to skip
To cut things
everything.
out. Yeah. Yeah.
The book definitely became better by that, I think. Although some like good details are left out because of lack of space. But
Yeah.
and that has trained me to really, you sometimes use a very long word, like I was walking down the street with so many people around me. And you can also, yeah. And in some pages of your book, that is beautiful because it develops a feeling or a sphere. But
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes it's very good to say to yourself, like, okay, how am I gonna say this as piercing and
Yeah.
as factually as you can? And
Wow.
that has really helped me because, especially if you blog,
Yeah.
you need to be as short as you can, because
Yeah.
people don't read long texts, especially not on internet. So yeah,
Yeah, you need to be able to learn how to keep it brief, to summarize it. But I think it's something that only comes through experience.
yeah,
And when I listen to what you share, you mention um, the loss of your fifth child, and that is tragic on so many levels. And sorry for your loss as far as that is concerned. And may you find consolation and strength during through this journey of healing and grief. Um, I'm thinking, and you speak about also the starting times when you were sick and you were not able to work, and you started to uh, stay at home as a full-time mom, and that is a full-time job. It's what I tell my colleagues who are stay-at-home parents. That's the full-time job. What we do for work for 40
mm,
hours a week, that's part-time. And and happy Mother's Day, if I may say this, because I think it is important. Um, but it, what would you tell me is the one thing that has happened in your life that has had the greatest impact on you writing? Because I see that you started earlier with the blogging, and you mentioned also that you studied literature in school and language. Is there anything that you can pinpoint on and say this is when this light bulb moment of writing actually went on and it has never gone out?
yeah. That's very hard to say because as a young child, I was already journaling and writing letters to my sick grandfather and things like that. I always liked to put things to word and to encourage people with words.
Yeah,
But I must say that the death of my fifth child has really made me bold enough to write because before I was always a bit scared, I think, to
yeah,
really share what I think, to really write down what I had on my heart. But then I was just so full of that or something, and I think
yeah,
that just made me. Yeah, I remember that day very well. That I said like, okay, I'm just gonna do this, and that was
yeah.
after the death of Amanda, and that's only 3 years ago now. So yeah,
Wow.
I could not imagine that I would be here at this. I mean, my second book is at the publisher at the moment. Is hopefully being accepted. It's not sure yet, but I will just send it out until I find someone who believes in it.
In-
Yeah,
Indeed, indeed.
yeah,
Wow. I mean, for your where you started from, that your first book, you were asked to write it. I
yeah,
think it's going to be a walk in the park for your second book.
yeah. I hope so.
It
I
it it's
well, I must say
I,
my
I
my
I can feel there's a faith walk in this.
yeah, yeah. That's it.
You were
Because
saying
my
something?
second book was rejected. It was
Yeah.
rejected by the publisher that I wrote this book for. So it was like a real disappointment. So it's not only success. I mean, the publisher of this book, who asked me to write this, she resigned. I mean, she got another job,
Yeah.
and the person that took her job did not believe in my manuscript. He said it is well written, it's a good book, but I don't believe anybody will buy it, so I'm not gonna publish it. So I really needed to take on a complete other journey, like how to find someone who will publish my book. So it has been quite a month, I must say, to trying to find out about publishers and stuff. But I now found someone who was really like, this is such a good book. I know someone who might want to publish it,
Right?
and he has sent it for me to another publisher. So yeah,
Wow.
I really hope I hear soon that this will
Wow.
be good.
I'm excited about this, and I would like to hear more about it. It's sometimes life just happens that sometimes one door closes because there's another one that is open. And I think this is just one beautiful illustration of it, that the person from the same place where you were asked to write the book in the first place, that
Yeah,
you had a second project, and the person who was there that knew your work and liked it had left.
yeah.
And
And I hear that a lot of times from authors. So that's something for other authors to bear in mind, that you really, that publisher that resigned, I
yeah,
called her like, oh, this is happening. And she said, Ineke, you have to believe in your own work. You really have to believe in your own work. And that's something I think for all of us who are like with our manuscripts, is something that you really have
you have to
to be
believe in your own.
humble in. Yeah.
Wow, wow. I will remember that. Thank you so much. It's sometimes it's overwhelming, most especially when you're just still on this journey, because you conceive an idea and you just start to run with it.
Hmm.
And then you get to a point and you're like, okay, this is it. And I have to put it out there. And I think if we don't believe that our work has the potential to actually be valuable to someone else's life, then maybe we are going to stop ourselves from even pushing it forward in the way that it should be. And the people who will benefit from it may not get access to it.
Yeah.
So I like that you mentioned that. And so the first book is, the title again is
Zichtbaarheid, it's a Dutch book.
Zichtbaar. And how do you translate that in English?
Visibleness.
Visible.
Visible.
Visible. Yeah.
Visibility, I think. Visibility. Yeah. It's about how you can, as a Christian, just be known in. Yeah, because. Daniel in his life, he was just a guy who really took his job seriously, who really was there for the people around him. He was not like a superstitious Christian, but he was in a place that he was really submitting himself to God, and still, yeah, it's just a beautiful example of how to live a Christian life. And yeah, it has really inspired me a lot. I've learned so much in the whole process of writing this book. Yeah, yeah.
Wow, very nice. Where can people buy this book, and how can people connect with you? If someone watches this interview and they would like to get a copy of Zichtbaar or your next book that you're working on, and maybe they would like to just connect with you and find out more about your writing journey, how can people connect with you?
Well, I have my own website. It's called www.brokenbutreal.com. So broken but real. That's mainly Dutch. I am in the process of translating my blogs into English, and if there are English translations, you will always find a link to English. But I've known from English people who use the translate function of WordPress, and they can quite easily follow it. But yeah, I'm still trying to explore how to do this in English as well. And on Facebook, I have my own page. It's schrijver Ineke Marsman-Polhuijs. I think if you Google my name, you will find me. Yeah, and my book you can order through my website. Just send me an email, I'll send you one. It's also just on bol.com and on all kinds of Christian bookstore websites. So it's quite easy to find if you Google my name. Yeah.
Very nice. We'll put some of those links with the interview.
Mm-hmm.
And the last question that I wanted to ask, is there something that you would like to mention in this interview that I did not mention in the questions that I asked today?
Well, there's a blog I've subscribed myself to. That's a very good tip for writers. It's from Daphne Grant. I will send you a link to that. She gives very, very good writer tips. So that's really something that really inspires me to think deeply also about just the writing process and how 10 minutes a day might be better than say like I'm gonna write a book right now, and it, you know, because the pressure gets so high, I guess everybody
Yeah.
knows. It's better to say just, you know, I'm gonna just write 10 minutes today and then see if you can expand that. I am a mother, so, you know, there's always children not bothering, but, you know, they disturb. It's not,
They
it's
need attention.
such a negative word, but, you know, they're just interfering. Is that it? It's a,
They need your attention. It's
yeah, they're asking for attention. That's more positive. Yeah, it sounds so. Yeah, so that's something you have to juggle with, like, you know. So if I really have an idea and I really want to write something, I have a thought that I want to finish, then I really need to get my husband to take care of the children or make sure that the children know that I'm just not to be disturbed at this moment, because otherwise I can't finish the thoughts. But there are other times that you can, you know, just walk and let ideas sink in a bit more. It's also part of being a writer, I think. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ineke. This was really wonderful and very productive. I got some real good value out of this, and I know that our listeners and viewers will also get the same. I will keep in touch with you. Thank you so much, and have a good afternoon.
Okay. Thank you.